Family Healthcast.
As summer heat soars, so can heart health risks. To help us stay safe when the temperature rises, we're joined by Upstate's Stroke Program Manager, Joshua Onion, and Dr. Momo Begum. Thank you both for being here.
Yeah.
Let's just start off first by explaining what a stroke is. And there are different types, right?
That's right. So stroke is a disorder or damage to the brain caused by the problem of its blood supply. Brain is the most important organ in the body that uses a lot of energy, probably the most use of energy by the brain itself. So the energy comes from the blood supply. So you can imagine if there's a problem with the blood supply that providing the brain, that can potentially lead to symptoms of what we call stroke. And given the blood supply, there are two problems that can occur with the brain. And first of all, one problem that can occur with the blood supply is the blockage. And the second problem is that the vessels of the brain can rupture and causes bleed.
I think a lot of people have a question now because it's so hot. I mean, is there a difference between heat stroke and having a stroke, and how can you tell?
I'm glad that you asked. So just to clarify, the heat stroke and vascular stroke are they're two different entities. It's vascular stroke, as I just discussed, that it's a problem with the blood supply, whereas the heat stroke, it's essentially your body is unable to cool itself down. So overheating, for example, in the summertime when you go to the high temperature, can essentially impair your internal cooling mechanism. And this is very separate from what we call vascular stroke, which is the problem with the blood supply that's supplying blood to the brain.
Right, and it's really important to know the difference. And Joshua, are there ways we can prevent it to help, keep us safe?
Yeah, I think talking about vascular stroke and blood clotting problems, dehydration's big in the summer. The heat, we've had hot weather lately. Dehydration is a big thing for heat stroke especially. So making sure you're drinking enough water when you're outside, staying in the shade when you're doing work, trying not to work during the peak sun hours are really key. We don't want to overheat and have heat stroke.
Any food or nutrients too that could help?
Yeah, good question. I think overall, your brain health and heart health are key all year round, not just summer. So focusing on, healthy foods, grains, salmons, fruits, vegetables, leafy greens, things like that, all the time.
Let's say you're out in the heat and you feel off. I mean, how do you know right away, oh, I'm having a stroke, or you're just overheated?
So again, to highlight, as we just talked about heat stroke and vascular stroke, the symptoms you can experience when you're having a heat stroke, for example, you can have loss of consciousness, but before loss of consciousness, you can have confusion, disorientation, nausea, vomiting. So then take those symptoms when you're having a vascular stroke. The symptoms can overlap. We like to say it can mimic, not necessarily you're having a vascular stroke when you're having a heat stroke, but the key factor, important factor to differentiate when you're having a vascular stroke is that when you're acute, sudden onset of symptoms, along with those symptoms that you can experience, confusion, disorientation. However, you should look out for acute facial droop, vision loss, or, for example, numbness, weakness in your arms or legs. These are the things that you want to look out for in addition to those symptoms. Because in heat stroke, one should not feel one side of the body sudden weakness, numbness, tingling, as opposed to vascular stroke, where you should experience.
Yeah, we're looking at temperatures in the 90s again this weekend. And Joshua, what's one simple change people can make to help prevent stroke?
Oh, gosh. I think being aware of stroke symptoms and signs and calling 911 would be good, I think. So stay hydrated, take care of yourself, and be aware of symptoms.
Very good. Thank you both for joining us. We really appreciate your advice and your expertise, and I know our viewers too also appreciate it with the hot weather on the way.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you both so much.
Thanks for having us.